I'm going to do a quick perspective video that will hopefully just reinforce a concept you may already be familiar with, or if you're not, then educate and enlighten you. So here I have the side of a building. It may look like a just 4 lines, but it's actually the side of a building. I joke because I care, but I really like to reinforce that I want to think of this and this as being two of the same thing. It just so happens that further away in space, this pole or stick or whatever appears smaller because of perspective. So this is just setting that up. And one thing that is going to help me with all sorts of other trying to figure out perspective issues when I'm drawing is the idea of drawing the diagonals to find the midpoint. It's probably not a new concept to you. Let's try it this way. And then through that midpoint, I can create both the vertical midline, because I know that all verticals for 2-point perspective and 1-point perspective are just straight up and down. This one is a little bit trickier, but what I'm going to do is create a second crisscross for this rectangle, which will align with this one to help give me that. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you an additional really cool thing. So that crisscross is where I can draw the vertical midline for this additional shape, rectangle. The angle of these will, drawing a line through those will help me draw the midline going in that direction that is running in the same direction as these. I can also find those by identifying the midpoints of these two verticals. And I can't resist. As a real quick side note, if I did that on this rectangle as well, you see this sort of A and V kind of thing. It's sort of this I think of it as the superhero symbol for Captain Perspective. I don't I like that. I digress. What I wanted to make sure I also made sure that you folks understood, hopefully, is that besides the fact that I'm a goofball, we can use this midline to find new crisscrosses, and we want those crisscrosses to help us with all sorts of additional shapes that we want to draw. So what I'm going to do is extend a couple of the shapes, I want to add on some rectangle up here, and it's going to have these as its sides. And you can double this, which is a great thing to know, but there's going to be plenty of times when you just want to visually say, okay, I want my next edge that's going with these guys starting right here. So how do I know that angle? How do I get sort of sure, a little bit more sure of that? Yeah, I could eyeball it. But what I'm going to do now, you could do this a couple ways, but this is the way that I'm going to suggest. Because I know it's these sides that I want. So now what I've done is I've done the criss. I'm not sure if that's the criss or the cross. That has given me that midpoint. So there's this back and forth coolness about perspective and projective geometry. That crisscrosses will give you the midlines, and midlines will give you crisscrosses. So I want to be a little bit more. It helps to go slow and be accurate too. Ooh, I was using a little too high there. So that is going to be something like that. And now I know that that line is in perspective alignment with these other ones. And I can add as many as I want with that similar idea to find points anywhere I want. Anywhere, you may say? What if I wanted to know that point and how it went that way? The angle that it went. Well, what I'm going to need to do is find out what the midline of something with these as the edges would be. It could be the midline of this and anything, but be just as easy to do it like this right now. So now I'm using crisscross to find a midline. And now I'm going to use the midline to find a crisscross. So where that crosses over there, that is going to inform me of the angle of anything lined up with that. So that's a technique that's extremely helpful. It does end up with plenty of construction lines, and you get to decide how dark you want those, and then you get to decide if you'd prefer that method or if you would prefer finding a horizon and vanishing points, which is, of course, the most common method, but I find more and more that to be sort of something that is just a little too cumbersome. Anyways, you get to choose, pick your cumbersomes. Check it out. Okay.